All right, welcome to the Ali Show. And on this episode, we have very special guest today, Mr. Junior Fa, professional heavyweight boxer, undefeated, 19 and 0. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And 9 fights by way of knockout or technical knockout.
Yep.
Oh man, I know my numbers. I actually checked Wikipedia, bro.
Actually, I should check that too because I don't know. so I'm trusting that you done your homework because I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
I did a bit of checking, bro.
Oh,
I was like,
sweet,
oh,
bro.
I better get the facts right. Anyway, how are you, Junior?
I'm very good, man. I'm thankful for being here. I've been watching your podcast, bro. You've been doing a great job, my man.
Oh,
great
thanks,
job.
man.
So yeah, so thanks for
Appreciate
having
it,
me.
brother. Appreciate the love, man. I just had during the whole lockdown and when I actually injured, I broke my foot. It was just something that I wanted to get into, and I
Yeah.
always wanted to get into, but I didn't have the knowledge or like the equipment that I needed to do it. So I was like, there's no better time to do it than now. So
Yeah.
invested in it, and then just gave it a go.
Actually, no, yeah, man. Like you're 100% right, bro. By the way that this world is like going so far, it seems like going online for some kind of work is the way to go because sporting events aren't going to be as big as they were now with this whole lockdown happening. I'm just thankful right now that I'm in level 2 lockdown. I got myself out of Auckland.
Yeah.
Here
That was
at
a pretty
Waikato.
good move. Just to be safe, so you could still keep training and.
Yeah, bro, 100%, 100%. I was saying this morning on the last lockdown that we had, we went into level 4, when the whole country went into level 4, and I was training at home. I learned from there that I had to be somewhere else, that I had to put myself in another environment because when I'm at home, my mindset kind of drops, It just naturally drops. And then so when the announcement came on, when was it, last week sometime, saying that Auckland's going to go into level 3 and saying that that the rest of New Zealand will be in level 2, I just knew that I had to get out of Auckland because the gyms were going to close. I wasn't going to be able to train the way I was, I got myself into a good pattern. And then as soon as level 3 happened, I was like, nah, I got to get myself out. So we went out to Morrinsville, and then here I am in Hamilton training.
Awesome, bro. Yeah. That's the one, eh?
Uh,
But on that topic, bro, it's pretty strange times, man. Like,
100%, bro.
it's just so weird, we just went into, we came out of a lockdown, and now it's like hopefully it's not the second wave, like some of the other countries. Well, it is,
Yeah.
but it's not as big
Yeah.
as what some of the other countries have, been getting into. So that's.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Like it's pretty good because this one doesn't seem to be so sporadic. It seems to be coming from one source. Where that source started, I don't really know because they said it wasn't from like an overseas travel thing. Did they
Yeah,
say
like
that?
I don't think they actually do know, but that could have been the only way that it was coming from
Yeah,
outside.
surely, yeah.
It couldn't be from here because we were free already. We didn't have any cases for like quite a while,
Yeah, a long time.
so it must have come from outside. But it doesn't matter. Like it's funny how they start blaming people and stuff like that. Like it's not their fault, bro.
I like what Ashley Bloomfield keeps on saying. He keeps on insisting that like it's not saying that we shouldn't blame the people. It's the virus that's the problem, not the people.
That's right,
And
100%.
yeah, and then he keeps on saying that the virus does not discriminate. I think the reason why he says that because where the virus is right now, it's in South Auckland, and who it's infected right now is a Pacific Islander family. So they say, and then and then I know we get like a lot of backlash right now because South Auckland just has a bad rap of just being a bad place, and I think someone shared a post on Instagram which I really liked what Ashley Bloomfield said, which is exactly what I said before. It's not the people that's a problem; it's the virus. Stop blaming the people.
Definitely, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely, like you can't control these things, bro.
Yeah,
It
100%.
can hit anybody, and if it does, like, it doesn't matter what color you are or whatever, what age you are. And that was one of the things that we were talking about as well.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Some of the younger fellas think that, we'll be fine, but
Yeah, but it's not about them, you know. It's about the older fellas that we got to protect, you know.
And I think in some of the other countries, I was looking at some statistics as well. There have been some deaths, bro, with the younger people.
True.
Yeah. So, you know,
That's
it doesn't matter what age you are, really.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like I have to take my beanie off and start putting my tinfoil hat on, bro. I think we gotta start talking about conspiracies, bro.
No, okay. Let's not dive too deep into that topic, bro. But yeah, Junior. Okay, so for those of you who don't know about Junior, could you just give us like a brief introduction about yourself, bro?
Sure. So I'm 30 years old. I'm of Tongan background. I am a professional boxer. I've been boxing since 2006. Yeah, so a long time. I started boxing when I was
14 years.
Yeah. You're good at maths. I was trying to do it while I was talking, but I'm just like, nah, can't do it. Been punched too many times. So I've been boxing for a while, and then I consider myself a family man. I got a wife and 2 kids. Got a boy 6 years old. Got a girl 4 years old. They're all happy and healthy, and and then that's pretty much me.
Nice. I just want to touch on like your early beginnings. Back in 2006 when you started boxing. How did you come about like starting boxing? Or
so growing up, I saw 2 sports. I saw rugby because I'm a Kiwi.
Yeah.
And we love our
pretty
rugby.
common. Yeah.
So I saw rugby and I saw boxing. Boxing came from my father. So my dad used to box back in the day, and when I was growing up, he was just training downstairs. He was always on the bag. He was always doing weights or punching the air or something. So I used to work with him. Like after school, I'll come home and then he'll finish work. He'll do his work in the garden, and then he'll come downstairs and then he'll do his weights or do his boxing drills. And then I'll come and join him. And I liked it, At that time, I was playing rugby. I didn't like rugby. I didn't enjoy the sport. It's funny when I tell people why I didn't like rugby. Because the reason why I didn't like it is because it's so physical. It's a very physical sport. Even though I'm doing boxing right now, which is very, very physical, I just saw rugby as more like a... I just saw it as more brutal, You're just sprinting towards each other, crashing into each other, man. There's a lot of contact, and contact's on the body. Yeah, so I didn't really like that, but I liked the more tactical approach of boxing, Boxing, you come in and you're trying to figure out patterns, and you try to deal with different styles, and that's what I liked. And then when I was 15, I asked my dad if I can do boxing. He said no. But then as that year went on, he finally took me to a boxing gym, and I loved it. I loved it, and he saw that I liked it. He saw that I was good, and then we just kept on going back to the gym, and then it just progressed from there.
Were you a big kid as well, bro? Because for the people who don't know, Junior is a big guy, bro. Like, I don't know if you can see from the video, but he's like, when I first saw him, I was like, man, this guy's huge, bro. But like when growing up, were you a bigger size? Obviously, you were a tall, big kid as well.
Yeah.
Like, so when you're saying like playing rugby and all that, if I was some of the other kids, bro, I'll be worried about getting tackled by you, bro. Like, I don't want to be anywhere close to you, man.
Yeah, man, I was always a big kid, I was always a big kid, but I've always had a real soft nature about myself, I was never an aggressive kid. Just a big
gentle
boy,
giant.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Shucks, it was funny. There was a Facebook post that my friend tagged me in not too long ago, and it was an old picture from our Form 3 class in high school. So that's year 9.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's our first year in high school, and the height difference between me and the rest of the class is hilarious, bro. I'm like 2 heads above everyone else. That's funny. Yeah, so man, I was always a big kid.
So when you first started, what's the first gym? Was it in Auckland that you went to start learning boxing?
Yeah, so the first gym that we went to was a gym in Otara. So we we got linked up with this Samoan coach. His name was Willie. I think he's passed on now. So yeah, rest in peace to his family. So we started with him in Otara, then he shifted his gym to Otahu, and then I continued training there with him, and then we planned a fight. So I got myself ready for my fight, and then I went to the ABA where I was supposed to fight, but he didn't turn up. So yeah, so my coach didn't turn up. And then that night I didn't end up fighting, but I ended up meeting Lolo Hemuli. Lolo Hemuli was there. I saw his fighters, and his fighters were good, man. I just remember this young kid. I'm pretty sure there was one of the Pomale brothers. If you're from Balmoral Liga, you'll know who I'm talking about. There were these three young boys, very, very talented boxers, you know. So yeah, so I saw one of them box, and then I was like, man, these guys are really good. I met Lolo. Lolo invited me to his gym in Balmoral. I'm from Papakura, so that's quite a long travel. So so we checked it out. We went there once, and we liked it, you know, because of the level of talent there was just very, very high.
There's been a lot of good comments about Balmoral, you know.
Yeah, man, Balmoral guys, especially the place where I went to back when they were at the back of the church. This was when Doug and Eugene were still training, you know. So before I went to CKB, I actually knew those guys through Balmoral Liga, just because I used to train alongside them. So yeah, so I came into the gym, big afro. I had a big afro as a kid. You know,
I've seen some photos.
Yeah, scruffy dude, you know. Then I started boxing with him, and I liked it. And we just kept on traveling from Papakura to Balmoral, and that was a long travel back then because there was only one way in, one way out type of thing. It's different now because of that state highway 20. So there's different ways to get to the city now, but back then it was just one way, and it was busy. So yeah.
So they were, like you had to travel by bus and
no.
Your dad.
Yeah. So my dad will take me after work, and yeah, that was a long travel, man.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of commitment from your dad as well, eh?
Yeah, man. 100%. Yeah. So he used to finish work, come pick me up, and then we used to travel a few hours to the gym.
Wow.
Maybe 2. Yeah, probably 2 on the really bad days. But I remember like a few times he would finish work, come home, and I wouldn't be home because I would be out playing basketball with my friends, or just eating fish and chips with my friends, you know. And then he would just drive through the town, and then find me and say, "Junior, get your butt in the van. We're going to training," you know. Yeah, bro. So so that happened sometimes. You know, there were some days where I didn't want to go to training, but he, you know,
needed that push, you know.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely, like
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You have a dad who's like, you know, your number one supporter, and he's like pushing you as well, you know.
Yeah, bro, 100%. Because I remember he was talking about it. He was saying, if I wasn't good, he wouldn't push me as much. But he saw that I was good, and he knew that I could make a comfortable living from this, so he pushed me towards it. You know, and I think that's something that I need to keep in mind too when I'm raising my kids, is that, like, you know, I can let them choose their own paths, but if I see potential
in a certain area,
man. If I see potential in a certain area that they choose to go, but if they start to get lazy, I can't just let them get lazy. You know, I got to push them towards what they're good at, what they're naturally talented at. And, like, you know, something they could, like, live off. So
yeah, because when you're younger, it's quite hard. Like, you know, it's quite hard to really decide.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what you want to do, or, you know, like, you don't really know. Like, you can't really expect, you know, a kid to make big decisions in life. You know, you know, whatever they have interests or they like to do. Obviously, you want to help them to, you know, work on it and get better at it. And, you know, if they reach a certain level, then, you know, you see the potential and, you know, keep going.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, like, you know, how your dad actually was so committed to, you know, keeping you on track, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
That's pretty impressive, man. I mean, and looking at where you are now, how much you've achieved, you know, Like, well, thanks to your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah.
your dad.
Very, very grateful for that.
Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Balmoral, bro. So what was that? The whole experience there with the other fighters and, with like Eugene and Doug and even Cairo, who was on our last episode. He
Yeah.
came out of Balmoral as well.
Yeah. So back then, I'm just trying to think back to who's actually still fighting now that I can talk about, but not too much comes to mind.
What about Hemi?
Hemi wasn't there. So back then, so the time that I'm talking about is in 2006/2007. That was when they were still at the Balmoral gym. And then after that, then we kind of changed gyms to like a little spot in Sandringham, just down the road. We were training at his garage for a bit, and then we went to ABA, and then we went to City Boxing. When we shifted to City Boxing, I think that's when Cairo George came along. I think that's when a lot of the other boys came along. Hemi came along when we were out west as well, so that was before City Boxing. But talking about the training, back then we were sparring every day. Sparring every day, and sparring was always good because there's plenty of talent, and we've kind of kept the same thing in City Kickboxing. So so you don't limit your sparring to just the people that are your weight and your size. You just spar anyone. Of course, you have to drop the intensity if you're like two times bigger than the fella you're sparring, or you definitely got to drop the power if you're sparring a girl. So we've kept that in City Kickboxing, and I think it's good because when you go into fights, you're gonna fight people from different backgrounds, different shapes, different sizes,
Different styles. Bro.
different styles. So so I did like that approach with that gym, and man, there was just a lot of talent there. It was great because we were sparring all the time, so we get to try different things all the time, and the fitness was great. And just Lolo, he's just a great mastermind of the sport, man. Got a very good fighting brain, man.
There's just so many people who gave a lot of comments about him, and not a lot of people know, but he is actually the brains behind a lot of the fighters that we know about. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe one day I might get to do a interview, a podcast with him as well.
He's very, very good, man. Very, very good.
So talking about your amateur days, I understand you had quite an interesting amateur career. You actually went on to travel. You competed in the WSB, which is the World Series Boxing, and you went to a few places as well. Could you tell us a little bit about it and some interesting stories, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So World Series Boxing, I remember when I first got picked for that. So that was back in 2012. 2012, I was chosen to box for the Mumbai Fighters. So they were based in India, and Mumbai. I think where we lived was just slightly out of Mumbai, but that was cool. So I traveled over there, but then I got stuck in transit. So I left here, and my passport was going to expire within, was it 3 months or 6 months?
6 months, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months. So they let me through here, but they told me that there's going to be a possibility that I can't get to India. So I traveled from here to Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, I got stuck. So I went to Hong Kong, and I couldn't get on the plane. They weren't going to let me on the plane, and I had a couple of dollars in my pocket.
Oh my, bro.
So
you was alone as well?
Yeah, I was alone. I was young. So I got the money. I changed it to their money, and then I used those coins and I put it in the phone box thingy. So So I put the coins in and I
Was it
dialed
those?
my.
Did you have to like spin the thing to dial?
Nah, bro. It wasn't those old phones. So I put the coins in the phone box, and then I called my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which is my wife now.
Yeah.
So I called my
So
girlfriend.
you guys go way back.
Yeah, a long time, bro. So we started dating back in 2008.
Wow.
So I called my
girlfriend back then.
Yeah, going back then, and then I told her the story. You know, I had basically 1 minute, 2 minutes max.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. So I
You had to wrap it.
So I called her. I said, I'm stuck in Hong Kong. I don't know what to do. Can you go and tell someone? And then the phone died. And then that was me, bro. I was stuck in the Hong Kong airport. I went for a walk around, and then I noticed there was mandarins outside of the airport. So I picked some of those mandarins just in case I'm going to be camping there, you know?
Wow.
Because I had no food. I had no money.
So they actually let you out of the waiting area because you were in transit.
Yeah, so I was in one of the airports. So it's not like, so they didn't like keep me like in the area where you can't get out. I think they let me out, but I had to link onto like a new
so you had to do a
terminal
transfer
or something.
You had to do a transfer of the terminal to get to the next
something
one.
like that.
So you actually got out.
Yeah, so I could get out if I wanted to, but like, you know, I didn't want to because I'm in Hong Kong and I don't know anyone. So I went outside, picked some mandarins, came back inside, and then I waited. And then while I was waiting, I saw this brown dude walking around with an iPad, walking around like this. He would just walk around, look down his iPad, look up, walking around, look down, look up. And then he came close to me, and then he goes, "Junior?" And then I was like, "Yes." She was like, "Come with me, bro." So so it turns out, so my wife called my coach Lolo, and then Lolo knew Lawrence Tawasa. So he was a professional boxer from Australia, Samoan descent, and he was staying in Hong Kong. So my coach got in contact with Lawrence, and he told him the story.
Situation,
And then he went to the airport and just came looking for me.
Wow.
And that is something that I'm so grateful for, man.
These connections, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for 3 days, I stayed with him, and we got our passport, and we got my passport sorted. I stayed with him and his lovely family. Back then, it was just him, and I think just his one daughter. I think now I think he's got a few kids now. So after that, I finally got onto my flight to India, and then I landed, and then I was in the ring 6 hours later.
Wow. On the same day.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, same day. So I flew out of Hong Kong, landed in India, went through customs. I think they pushed me through pretty quick. So that was cool. And then 6 hours later, then I met up with the team, got a little bit of rest, got some food. And then I was fighting 6 hours later against a tough Russian boxer.
Wow.
He's a professional boxer now. Can't remember his name. I just remember, I think it's Aslan Makhmudov.
Makhmudov, yeah.
Very, very big right hand. So I came in and I just knew that I needed to move, So I moved around and I beat him on points.
Nice.
And then I think that was the craziest story from the WSB in India, was me just landing and fighting straight away.
As a young kid, being stuck at the airport, not knowing what to do, that's a pretty scary experience, bro. And not having a lot of money on you as well.
Having no money on me, bro. I had no money on me. It was just me. Young kid, bro. I didn't know what to do. I'm just gonna be eternally grateful for Lawrence and my coach for sorting that out.
Wow. Yeah. You could have been like, maybe even kidnapped or whatever.
I still could have been there now, bro. That could have been the end of junior father.
We got a big brown boy here. He might be a good child labor for us. Work for us for free, maybe.
Straight up, bro.
Oh boy. Man. So that was the highlight of the trip to India, was it?
Yeah.
And what about the other one? I understand the second round you actually were with the British team, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the next year, that year is just at the end of the year. So I think the season starts at like November, something, and then it goes through to like March or something. Yeah, so for that one, I was picked for the British Lionhearts, and there I got to train with the GB squad. So, so the national boxing team, very, very good bunch of talented people, hardworking people, you know. I got very fit when I went there, very, very fit. Got to train alongside Anthony Joshua, Joe Joyce now, Fraser Clark. I think a few of the Kiwi boys actually boxed for the British Lionhearts too. So David Nika trained with them as well, and he fought for them too. Patrick Malata, Chad as well. So yeah, bro. So all of those guys went and boxed with them. So
they've got quite a big sweet setup over there, and like
they do,
I think
bro.
there's a lot of help from just the whole institution.
Yeah, bro. So they got a few houses just down the road from where they train. So they train at the Sports Institute, and they got a bunch of houses just down the road from there, which they live. So that's where I was living for the months that I was there. I would be living with two people each week. Throughout the week, we'll be training together, living together. And then on the weekend, they would all go home, and then for the weekend, it'll just be me in the house.
You got the whole place to yourself, but
pretty much. But but at the times that I was there, I was just either on the streets walking around, trying to go sightseeing. Yeah, bro. Yeah, exploring, and then just keeping my mattress downstairs next to the TV with all my cheeseburgers. I would go to the McDonald's every weekend and order 10 cheeseburgers.
What?
And then that'll be my food for the day.
That's a lot of cheeseburgers.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know how that's good for the diet, but okay.
No. Definitely wasn't good for the diet, but I think at that time, man, I was just training so much, man, I would just burn it off anyway.
Yeah, just burn it off, yeah, man.
Yeah, back then, it's a different story now.
That's pretty interesting. So any interesting stories or experiences over there in England?
That one, man, it was just a lot of hard training. A lot of hard training, man. So after training with them, I can see how they excel so quickly. You see, with the GB fighters, they get new guys in all the time, but they excel at a very, very high rate. It's because they're just kind of pushed into a very, very high demanding,
intense
environment, where the coaches and your environment just forces you to lift your game up. We were running every morning, high intensity running, doing conditioning in the afternoon, and then boxing at night. And that took a toll on the body, man. But that builds up the mindset as well.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
So after I trained there, I could see how they excel so quickly, And but in terms of any crazy stories, I don't really have any crazy stories. It was just cool to be there, and I got to travel throughout Europe when I was there too. So I would do all of the away fights. So I would travel to Ukraine. That's actually where I boxed Usyk.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, he's to date the hardest guy that I've boxed in the ring with. A very, very tricky customer.
How did you come about that decision to go professional?
That one was interesting. So I wasn't boxing at the time. So I turned professional back in 2016. But after 2014, I just didn't box. So I wasn't boxing, and then Hemi Ahio was boxing. He was ripping it up in the pro scene. He still is, but he was preparing for a fight, and he needed sparring partners. And Lolo called me up, and then he goes, "Oh, hey, do you want to come in and help Hemi out with his upcoming fight?" So I came in, helped him out, and then he asked me, I was like, "Oh, I've actually got a tournament starting up soon. Did you want to make a pro debut there?" And then from there, I was like, "Yeah, sweet, why not?"
Yeah, why not, eh?
So
might as well.
Yeah, so after Hemi knocked out his opponent at the time, I made my debut just a few months after. Yeah, so there wasn't really no big decision. It was just an opportunity that I was given, you know. Lolo got me back into the gym, and then he just asked, "Did you want to turn pro? Why not?"
Again, Lolo has done a lot of things, eh?
Oh,
Another
man.
big one as well.
Not just for me, but just for the entire sport. You know, he has picked up the level in striking in New Zealand, you know, dramatically.
On to the professional boxing career now. So you started off in 2016, was it? 2016, and once you started the first one, you just started to get back into it. And how do you say your career has been so far, or like how's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been very, very good so far. So for my first year, I just tried to bring in as many fights as I can. That was the plan with my team. So we fought as much times as we could in that first year. So in the first year, I was with Lolo, but then we split. I think on my second or third fight, I think my third fight, we split. Then I went to Henry Schuster, and we stayed together. And then for the first year, sorry man, I'm just trying to backtrack, just trying to think of what happened. So at the end of my first year of professional fighting, I got a promotion deal. So I was picked up from a New York promoter, Lou DiBella, who I'm still with now. So we linked up with him, and now I get to travel overseas and fight for bigger prizes. Basically, you know, I get to have that exposure overseas. It's hard to get exposed when you're down here, you know, unless you have a great team like Joseph Parker's team, how they got JUCO events. They get to put on good promotions here, and it gets broadcasted throughout the world. But when I was starting out as pro, I didn't have that, so I got picked up from Lou DiBella, and then, you know, now we're starting to do that, and I'm starting to create a bigger name for myself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the big markets are like, US, UK. That's
100%.
where, that's where the money is basically. And, just looking at the whole industry, you can see, that's where if you want to get exposure and if, at the end of the day, it is prize fighting. That's what it is.
100%.
It is prize fighting. So and if you want to make a living out of it, you can't be just, doing the small shows and small events, and
No.
you got to feed your family, bro. You got to feed the kids.
Yeah, because the time that I started pro, I had one child, and then my daughter was born just a few days after my pro debut. So
Wow.
I think just a couple of days after my pro debut, my girl was born. So so I can't just do fights how I did back in the amateur days. You know, it was just fight to fight. Now I've got a family that I need to provide for. So I'm just trying to make a good living from it, and it seems to be paying off so far.
That's the one, and hopefully getting better along time as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So talking about kids, bro, having a first kid, how was that like for you, bro? Like when you had your first child?
Yeah, it was good, bro. I remember. So back then, I wasn't fighting back then, and life was good, bro. I got to live a normal dad life. You know, I got to go to work, come home, play with my son. And that was great. And I liked that life. And I always knew that there was something missing. I am very grateful that I am back in boxing now, but I don't regret having the time that I had when I was off boxing.
Yeah, maybe that was a good time off that you needed.
100% I needed it, because while I was off, I also got to really see how boxing was from a different perspective, from the outside perspective. When you're just in the gym all the time and you're just training all the time, there's a few things you don't see, from the manager perspective, from the other sides of boxing that you really don't see, like the darker side of boxing, the money side of boxing. So all of that, I kind of got a greater understanding when I wasn't in the gym training. So I had my son. He has autism. So for him, that means he has trouble communicating verbally. So I guess we can call him non-verbal. He does say some words, but you know, he can't string together sentences. And for him, it's just, and for us as parents, we're just trying to make his environment comfortable where he can vocalize his ideas and what he's trying to say.
At what age did you guys actually figure out that he had autism? Did you tell?
I think almost two. I think all two-ish is when we took him in to get tested or something. But
it's like a checkup where they evaluate and see.
Yeah. But when he was young, I always knew he was going to learn different, because babies, you know, when they're young, usually when you hold them, they are staring at your eyes or they're staring at your lips when they move. He wasn't doing that. So I knew that he wasn't going to be like a visual learner. I knew that if I was going to teach him something, it would have to be a different way. Although back then I didn't know about autism. So I knew he was going to learn differently, but I didn't know what it was. And then when we got him assessed, it turns out he did have autism. And that just means that we just have to have a different approach for him for everything, you know. We can't just raise him up like a normal, typical child. I was talking to my friend, I think a few years ago. He has a Down syndrome boy, and he actually brought up a good point. He says sometimes he feels for the autistic children, because at least with Down syndrome, you can physically see that there's something different. But with the autistic children, they all look the same. Like, you know, you can't really tell that my boy is different. When he's acting out in front of people, people might think, oh man, that's just a spoiled kid, you know, that's just a naughty kid. But they don't know that he's like having a meltdown or a sensory overload. So when I say sensory overload, that's what most of the autistic children have a problem with. They have a problem with processing their senses. So like, you know, throughout the day, their listening might be enhanced, and they can hear like a lot more things that we can hear. And then that sense might be overloaded, and then that will cause them to kind of, you know, act out. Or their, like, you know, their smell, or their smell sense might be heightened, or their sight might be different, you know. So yeah.
How do you guys, like you and your missus, how did you react when you first found out? Like, was it a hard?
We had two different approaches. So my wife kind of broke down a little, you know, not too much, but I think for me, having an athlete background, you know, we kind of always do things differently. Like, you know, we always like to solve the problem. Like, you know, we are faced with a problem, or we're faced with a different opponent, and we try to strategize a way to attack that thing. So yeah, so it was basically the same thing. Once we found out that he did have autism, first thing for me was like, okay, how do we help him? You know, I didn't have time to feel sorry for him. I didn't need to feel sorry for him. Like, you know, it is what it is. We just have to learn how to, you know, yes, very much so. Like, you know, you just adapt and help him out. So yeah, so that was my first reaction. And the journey so far has been great. You know, my wife is by far a better expert on autism than I am. You know,
she does a lot of studies and research.
She does a lot of studies. She has big plans for the autism community. You know, she wants to do a few things with it, which she's working on right now. But for me, I know a bit about autism, and I definitely know my son. So yeah, as long as I know how to help him out, then I'm happy.
Yeah, man. That I saw. What I wanted to share was pretty interesting as well. Just a couple of days ago, one of my flatmates actually was looking at a documentary on Netflix about a boy who actually has autism. and he currently holds the world record for solving the Rubik's Cube.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen that one?
Not that one, no.
Bro, you need to check that out because
Yeah.
this kid, he is like a genius, bro.
Yeah.
So, well, if people are wondering, like, I've never solved that Rubik's Cube before.
Yeah.
Right. And this kid with autism, I think for Chinese background, living in the US. I might be wrong. Sorry, I might be wrong. But yeah, so living in the US, and just one day his parents gave him the Rubik's Cube. He started playing with the cube, and like he just wouldn't stop. And he just kept going and going and going.
True.
Yeah, and so they saw something special there.
Yeah.
And they found out that this kid was actually so good with the Rubik's Cube, and he was solving it way faster than everybody else.
Wow.
So, and he was just, he was just fully 100% focused on the Rubik's Cube, kept going. And so they have like 3x3, 4x4,
Yep.
5x5, and all, that sort of thing. And so like this kid went on to compete like at I think a national event. And so he won. And then he went on to international events, and then he just started to break world records, bro.
Wow.
He just started to break world records. And I was watching, the footage of the competition, bro. And it was so interesting. Like this kid, he's just fully focused. Like, his focus is 110%.
Yeah.
When he's doing something, he's fully focused, bro. Nothing is distracting him.
Yeah, they get obsessed with some
They
things.
do, bro. They
you know?
do. And that is so powerful. Solving a Rubik's Cube is not simple, bro.
Yeah.
People think it's easy.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways and so many strategies they need to remember, so many formulas, and
Yeah.
how this kid has actually put all that in his head and solved that in that matter of, I think, less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And the speed at which they're
Yeah.
going, bro, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I was
it's
so
crazy.
impressed, man.
It's yeah, so with autism, so back in the day it was just autism. Now it's autism spectrum disorder, because they've now realized that autism is not just one thing. I think back then they kind of had a checklist if you have this and this and this, that means you're autistic. But then now they kind of know, oh, no. It's such a wide range. Whereas now we kind of have to put them on a spectrum, and there's no two cases that are the same. So with autism, you would see so many different types of people coming from different backgrounds, and you definitely have the talented ones, You definitely have the real talented genius ones. I know that I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast just the other day. Which is so funny because I'm on the New Zealand version of Joe Rogan right now. Yeah, man. So I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and this guy was talking about how he works with this autistic kid, and this kid has photographic memory. So I think they were painting together, and they went up to a hill and they saw the city, and then the kid turned around and then he just started painting it just from memory, and that to me was like, man, these kids, some of them have tapped into certain parts of the brain where it's unreachable for other people. But that goes to say that it's not just an autistic thing. It is a different case to case, because we do have typical people who are just geniuses, geniuses in themselves, that we have different people who are just talented in something else. You got the physical specimens, you have the geniuses, you have the artistic people. So I thought that was something that I needed to say, because sometimes I remember when my kid was first diagnosed with autism, I think some of the thought process behind it is that people think that all of them are geniuses. But then I was like, oh no, because if that was the case, that means if Bill Gates is a genius, that means all of us are geniuses. We're not all geniuses, but we all have different
talents and skills.
Different talents, different skills, and that's just the same for like autistic people. They're not all geniuses. They all have different skills, different talents.
Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Okay, so you went on to train at City Kickboxing. When was that move, and how do you decide?
Yeah, that one was interesting. So I moved in 2017, I think. So I was with Henry Schuster, and then I split from Henry Schuster. He's such a good guy, man. Have you met him?
No, I haven't actually. Haven't had a chance to meet him.
No,
but
yeah, he's just a good fella, bro. I like Henry. So I split from him. So I knew that I needed to go somewhere else, And at that time, City Kickboxing didn't have any like full-time boxers, I think some of the kickboxers would jump in the ring sometimes and have boxing fights, but they wouldn't stay in boxing, There would be kickboxers doing boxing fights, or there would be MMA fighters doing boxing fights. I don't think they had any boxers back then. So I kind of went with my team, and then we were discussing different places to go. And then City Kickboxing came up, and then I was like, yeah, I know it's not a boxing background, but I know the guys there, I know Eugene, I know Doug, and we came from the same gym back in the day, so I know what they're gonna teach is good, and also at that time they had Dan Hooker, they had Israel Adesanya, they got Kai, but back then I think it was only Dan that was in the UFC then, but yeah, but you had the other guys just ripping it up anyway. So then we kind of knew that it was gonna be not like a risk, but more of just like just a different look, because I'm a professional boxer going into a kickboxing gym. I knew that people will be like, hey,
Yeah,
So,
I think people get that a bit when you tell them you're training at City Kickboxing. And they're like,
what? And they're like, what? You're a boxer, but little do they know these guys are like striking geniuses, Eugene and Doug, and both of them balance each other out. They have two different approaches with their striking. One's a lot more aggressive, one's a lot more calculated. These two are the two of the gym. You also have Tristram, who's in Mangere, and he comes in every now and then. He's also another genius, and he brings in a different his like own flavor into the gym as well. He's actually someone that I need to start working with as well. I'm definitely keen to be working with Twist. So so I'm going. So hopefully in the near future I'll be training with him, or doing some kind of sessions with him. So that's how I came into the gym, and then when I came, and then Izzy moved into the UFC, then Kai got into the UFC, Brad got into the UFC, and now everyone's just ripping up.
That's what's interesting as well, when you in an environment where everybody's pushing you to, attain a higher level, and it's a good environment to be in. It pushes you.
It's a great environment to be in because you get to see and train alongside them, and you see why they're so good. When we're doing the fitness sessions together and we're pushing ourselves on the bike, on the assault bike, and that bike sucks. When I look over to the UFC boys, they aren't afraid to get their body into that real dark place, you can push yourself to a limit, but then there's that extra 10%.
Untapped area.
That you can go, but your body just kind of refuses to go there. And then when I watch them train, I can see them go into that dark place, and it sucks, But after that, after seeing them do that, you really see why they are at a different level. So Yeah, so for me seeing that, I definitely know what I need to do with my training, you know, to lift it up.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think that's pretty. Yeah, like when I first came over as well, and I saw like the trainings they were doing, and stuff that they were learning as well. Like, it's not what you learn or what you do at a conventional
No.
gym, and that's what just makes it so interesting. And just the level of expertise that's there, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. People underestimate the power of Eugene and Doug.
Yeah.
And like Twist, and you have Mike and Mike Engove there,
Yep.
and you have the BJJ trainers, you have the wrestling trainers.
coaches, yeah.
So there's like there's a lot of brains behind the whole operation that people don't see.
Yeah, and I think that's the other good thing is that each of them can all work together. Because I think sometimes you go to other gyms and there's one head coach, and he's very protective of his fighters. These guys, I think what makes them so successful is that they're all willing to learn, and they're willing to learn off each other and off other coaches as well. Some coaches are so set in their ways. When you try to present a different idea towards them, they all say, "Nah, bro, you don't know what you're talking about."
They're just not open to
No.
Yeah.
Whereas those guys are. They definitely know what will work for their fighters and what won't. So So with them being open-minded, I think that's part of their success. Yeah.
What's the future plans for yourself?
So there's a so right now for this whole COVID thing, man, it's it's really, really messed up my year, bro. So I had a scheduled fight.
Oh wait, hold on. Before you go into that, just before this whole COVID thing happened, I understand you were actually in a training camp with Deontay Wilder.
Yes.
I was like, how was that? Before we get into, how was that whole experience, bro?
But that one was actually
US?
very, very good. So that was my third time there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So
that
you've been
was
there a bit.
Yeah. So first time I went there was for the Tyson Fury fight. The first
one.
That was my first time there. Second time there was for the Dominic Brazil fight. When they called me in for the Dominic Brazil fight, I just knew straight away. I was like, Deontay does not need anyone here for this fight because style-wise, Deontay had this fight, because the fella was just going to walk in like this, which is exactly what happened. He just walked in like this. Deontay, boom, boom, dropped him. That was it. First round. That was it. So I was there for the first Tyson Fury fight, and then earlier on this year, I was there for the second one as well. And when I went there, and I saw the way they were training, and I saw what he was doing, I picked up a lot of good things. But I think the main thing that I picked up from Deontay was his mindset. He has an incredible mindset where he 100% believes in himself. They are different in the States. I was trying to compare the trainings that we have over here compared to there, and there's actually not much difference. So for myself, I see that we train a lot harder in the gym in City Kickboxing. So then why is there a bit of a difference when it comes to a fighter from the States, And and then I just nailed it down to their confidence and their belief in themselves. Whereas I think in New Zealand, sometimes we get a bit more humble here, and we're scared to kind of overstep certain lines with certain things. We don't boast that much, so I think that kind of allows us to kind of pull ourselves back in and kind of pull our own ego back into ourselves. Whereas over there, they just embrace their strengths.
The mental game.
Yeah, bro. Their mental game is different. They just totally confident and totally believe in themselves. A little bit arrogant, but I think it plays in their favor in terms of sports.
I think you need to have, when you're competing at like a very high level, you need to have a little bit of arrogance. A little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It will help as well, you know.
100% you do. You know, you can't second guess yourself. You know, you can't second guess yourself, especially in boxing, you know, because that makes the fights a bit too cautious. I've been in that state too, where I've been too cautious in fights, and then like, you know, I've gone into fights where I've been overly aggressive. You know, I've been into fights where, like, you know, I've just sat behind my jab for the whole fight and I should have done more. And then I've been into fights where I've just gone in there swinging, and those are the fights where I should have sat back more. So, so it's just good to kind of know yourself to a T so that you can perform at your peak, you know? So, so I think that's just an ongoing battle for athletes, not just fighters, you know? People really need to learn themselves to a T so that they know how to bring themselves up to a level that they need to be when they're performing in front of people, or like, you know, when they're in the ring fighting, or when they're on the track sprinting. Yeah.
So that experience, how do you find the, you know, that whole experience just living and staying there in the US, and how's that like?
Yeah, it was good. Especially for the Deontay Wilder camp. You know, we were just kept in a hotel. There would always be.
Did they set you up at like a good hotel?
Yes. Yes. a good hotel, yeah. So we would be kept in a hotel. There would be 3 of us fighters there. So the way that he sets it up, there's always three sparring partners. So it'll be me and 2 other fighters, and then there'll be a coach there as well. You know, we would be going to training and then coming back and then just going out to eat somewhere, you know. That was basically our daily routine.
Yeah. Where do you guys go to eat? There's that.
Different places all the time, Different places all the time. So
I saw some Instagram stories that you posted, like some fast food and all that.
Yeah, but that would have been me eating by myself. Yeah, so I went there with them. Like, you know, for the weekends I'll go to like Popeyes or like, you know, Chick-fil-A, stuff that we don't have here. I definitely go out and, you know, try them out and see if I like them or not. And bro, fast food is great over there, bro. I like it, man. It's like extra greasy, which is something I love, you know. I love that stuff, bro. So
but as a heavyweight, like, you know, you can enjoy that.
That's our downfall, bro. I think the downfall for heavyweights is that we don't have a weight limit. So there's a certain weight that we need to be above, but there's nothing that we can be, you know, under. No, bro. There's like no cap. So yeah, so like it's a double-edged sword for us, you know.
That can be quite dangerous, eh?
Very, very dangerous, especially for someone like me who's a foodie. You know, I love to eat.
You love your food.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, right. So so that's an ongoing battle with me. Thank goodness I teamed up with my new nutritionist just before this lockdown happened. So I went and saw my nutritionist, Jordan Earl. He took one look at me and then was like, oh. He did it, but then, like, you know, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm like, you know, I'm like so much bigger, you know, so, so we got my diet sorted, and then this lockdown happened, and then I'm just thankful that I got this diet sorted before this lockdown, because on that last lockdown, I kind of let myself go a bit. This lockdown, there's no chance of that happening. Yeah,
discipline on this one. Yeah. So, okay, back to... So, sorry, I had to interrupt then. Back to the second fight. You went for the second camp before the lockdown. And so, after that whole training camp, and when you saw the results of the fight, man, what was your reaction to that, bro?
It was expected, you know. I knew Deontay Wilder was going to knock Dominic Breazeale out early, you know. And that's exactly what happened, you know. When he knocked him out, I think I sent a video to my mate, and then I think I was just like, what? Because like, like, because it was a bad knockout, it was a very bad knockout. And
But that was definitely a very, impressive win. Like having a knockout like that was crazy.
yeah, definitely.
And then, so we went back again after that for another training camp before the Tyson Fury rematch.
Yeah.
And so, did they do anything differently in the rematch, or it was pretty much you kept to routine of what you guys had? Some new.
Pretty much kept to routine. So it was all pretty much the same. It was all pretty much the same. So I was expecting like a similar fight to the first one, but I think the main difference was Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury came out with a different game plan. And the game plan that he had just seemed to work on Deontay for the first couple rounds. But then on that, was it the third round where he hooked him and he like ruptured his ear or something?
Yeah. Bro.
As soon as that happened, the fight was over, man. Deontay didn't have any legs anymore.
Yeah, you could see that when he took that big hit to the ear, and they were saying
he was just stumbling from corner to corner. So from there, I was like, damn it, he's got no legs under him anymore.
Yeah, just lose your bearings, when you.
Bro, I think that's basically what happened, is like air just like, ruptured and then his balance was gone.
Bro, but he just kept going, and
he's tough, bro.
I think
in that fight, he definitely showed his toughness. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fight had to be, they called off the fight, was it?
Yeah.
It was not actually stopped by the ref. I think his team actually decided to stop the fight. So I wouldn't really say good, but might have been a safer thing to do.
Yeah.
As a coach, you want to make sure that your fighter
100%
goes back in like, a decent condition.
Yeah.
And like, it could be, just to, you lose this one today and come back again
tomorrow.
Another one, and you don't just like go completely out.
Yeah, I think that's. I remember I was watching your podcast with Kevin, and Kevin was saying that boxing is dangerous, is like more dangerous than MMA, and I think the reason why is that there's so much more contact, but when someone is knocked down in MMA, there's a chance that the fight's just going to end right there. If the fella jumps on him and like he throws a bit more punches, the fight's finished. If someone gets knocked down in the boxing ring, they get 10 seconds to get back up. And then when they do get back up and they show that they're all right, then the fight continues.
They can carry on.
Obviously, obviously the fighter's concussed, and the fella's just gonna fight through that concussion. Bro. And I think I'm pretty sure that's what he was meaning in the terms of boxing being so brutal. So in terms of the Deontay Wilder fight, I think his coach definitely had the best intentions for him, because I don't think Tyson Fury would have knocked him out. I definitely think that beating would have just lasted throughout the whole fight. Deontay Wilder's tough. Tyson Fury's not the biggest puncher. And I think if that fight went on, it would have just caused a lot more damage in his brain, which isn't good.
Yeah, definitely.
So with them throwing in the towel, he definitely had the best intentions at heart.
To look after your fighter, I think that's really important. Like you not only you got to think at the back of his mind, maybe you're thinking about his family, his kids,
100%.
People who depend on him,
Yeah.
So I mean, it would have been a better, just a better option.
And sometimes tough fighters are too tough for their own good, and that is the job for the coaches to come in and say, that's enough, because some fights you see the fighters, they just they're still in the ring, they are getting beaten up, but they can hack it. But just because they can hack it, it shouldn't mean that the fight should continue.
That's it.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So and then, okay, back to where I interrupted you just now.
Yep.
About future plans. So future plans. What's happening?
Yeah. So like I was saying, COVID just stuffed all the year up. So I had a fight scheduled for in New York at the start of the year. But then with this COVID thing happening that just kind of wiped all that out. And then now we're in talks with Team Parker. So Joseph Parker and I could be fighting at the end of the year if negotiations continue going well. Our team started talking like a few months ago, and there were very, very early talks. But what I found funny is that David Higgins started putting out posts out on Facebook straight away. And I think what he was doing was that he was trying to bring my name down in the public eye, which to me doesn't really matter, because that's just trying to demonize me in front of people that don't know me. And people that don't know me, their opinions don't matter to me.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. 100%.
And that really should be the case for everyone, with this social media age. Sometimes other people's opinions really take a toll on people, but I'm thinking, why should they?
Yeah, but that's the thing. For you and I, maybe we have reached a certain level where we really care about people around us. Our family and our friends, our partners and all that. But outside of that circle, what people say don't really affect us that much.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, but
it does. I think it comes with age.
Yeah, that's
maybe it comes with age.
It's age and mentality is another, bro. I see a lot of people, even adults as well. They just get so affected by what people say.
Yeah, true.
And one thing people really need to come to terms with is these people have nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And that's the thing. If they don't have, I think I saw a post somewhere, if someone doesn't have your mobile number, they don't have a right to have a problem with you. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, bro. And when you allow, the other thing as well is if you allow positive comments to really lift you up high, it will also allow negative comments to put you down low.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got to be careful when people praise you and say good things about it. Of course you're thankful for that. But you got to be careful when you get so lifted, you allow people's words to control your emotions.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I look at my posts as well. Sometimes when I post something up on Facebook or on Instagram, I never check the comments, and pretty much 99% of them are always good, always good. But at the same time, I don't let that control my emotions.
Everybody has the right to have their own opinions. You can like and dislike whatever you want.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. So you were saying about the stuff that he put out, trying to.
So I think they were trying to demonize me early, or tried to maybe bully my team into taking a fight for little money or something, So so we went in talks a while ago, but now that the talks have continued, we have reached common ground. We are a lot closer to actually finalizing a fight. So so I would say we will definitely be fighting, hopefully. At the end of the year. So fingers crossed that this thing goes through. Hopefully his team is happy, my team are happy. If everyone's happy, then this fight's going to happen. I definitely know me and Joseph are going to be happy to fight. It's just making sure that everyone else is happy, And then, then as soon as that happens, it'll be Joseph Parker versus Junior Fa.
That's the one. Personally, I'll be looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a great fight to watch, all across not only in New Zealand, but across the board everywhere,
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. For me, it was a bit early because I had plans to fight him later on, I definitely wanted to lift up my what's the word? My resume a bit, He has fought so many big names. I needed bigger names myself, to kind of make this fight make sense. But since this COVID thing happened, there wasn't that opportunity to get those big fights that I wanted. This opportunity is here now, so let's
Yeah.
go.
Grab the opportunity while it's there.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely, 100%.
I mean,
100%.
we're definitely all looking forward to that, and we wish you the best, bro.
Thank you.
Styles makes fights, and it's more than anything. People will enjoy the fights, bro.
Yeah.
It is entertainment at the end
It's
of the
the
day.
entertainment business, man. It's the hurt business
it's the
too.
hurt
So
business
people
too,
are
bro.
gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one. So, Junior, before we go, I usually ask all my guests, do you have any words of advice for people listening?
Yeah, I do. I think one comes into mind, and it's always my son. So my son, with him being different, I think what makes this world so much. I think what makes this world like bad is people's understanding. People really need to open their mind and really try to learn that everyone's not the same. I was talking to my friend who actually went to a religious school, and he said that in their schools they would learn about different religions as well. And then, I said to him, man, that is great because that broadens your understanding. That doesn't mean that you're this closed-minded fool who just kind of thinks that different people are silly or are stupid.
Or can't get along.
Yeah. So, and I'm also, what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but that fellow who, man, I really should have looked this up before I came on this podcast. But that guy who changes people in the KKK. You seen that dude?
Yes. The African American guy.
Yeah.
I've seen that one, bro. That was a powerful interview, man. I forgot his name as well.
So he kind of has this quote or that instant in his interview with that KKK member. He was saying what made them both kind of angsty. So there's this time in this interview where they both kind of got like in a real bad situation. But that's because both of them did not understand each other. And I think that's his point, is that when there's understanding, there's less fear. I think that's the thing. I think he's saying what makes people hate people is that they fear them. And they fear them because they don't understand them. I think that's what I'm definitely trying to bring across, especially with my son being different. I don't want people to look at him like in a weird way. So I really want people to broaden their understanding about everyone so that there's less judgment, so that there's less fear with the different people, and so that there's just more acceptance. I feel like with a lot more acceptance and a lot more understanding, this world's going to be a lot better.
Definitely, bro, 100%. I think, like when people don't understand is when usually they're afraid.
Yeah.
And then they'll treat people differently. So
100%.
If we make the effort to learn and know about that stuff, it just makes it better.
A lot better. And especially with the way that this world is going now, definitely needs it. So, so just,
Anyway, Junior, I think we've been going for like quite a while. So we should probably wrap up our this episode.
Yeah, 100%.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming and being part of this podcast, bro, and giving your time, having a chat with us. We appreciate your time, and also we just want to wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
For your upcoming fights in your future, your pro boxing career, and also with your son as well, that hopefully you guys try to, find out what his special skills are and tap into that, because that's something that I look forward to. It's really interesting. So that about wraps it up. So cheers.
Thank you.
That's us for today.
Yo. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you on the next one.